welcome to episode 66.
66.
We're Route 66 on
Woohoo!
the Georgee and Patty show. Woohoo! Wow, that calls for cake.
It does
Pretty
call for
sure it
cake.
does. Pretty sure it does.
Definitely cake.
Well, welcome to the Georgee and Patty show.
I'm Georgie.
And I'm Patty. Hello.
And here we are on Monday.
And here we are on Monday, and we are here for some motivation and some inspiration, and for some Georgee background stories today. So I'm excited to hear all about this, about lessons learned from Everest Base Camp. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to my partner, and who gets to drive her own slide deck today.
Woohoo! How fun is that? I know. I get to talk about one of my favorite things in the whole world, which is Nepal and Everest and all that good stuff. Make sure this is the right one, because there we go. Okay. Maybe. There we go. Move this little guy out of my way. Yeah, so I'm super excited to share some of my journey to Everest Base Camp and some lessons that I learned along the way, and how you can actually use those lessons in your business right now, building your U-shaped business and moving that all forward. And as I was going through this, I see on the bottom I've got 62 slides, and I had the original had more than double that. So I was like, okay, I gotta cut these things down. So yeah, so you get that. Come on, little, hang on a second. Let me make this work. Why do I always have such trouble getting it to switch to the next slide? Oh, there we go. Don't move. Okay. Woo! Quote of the day. There is no passion to be found playing small in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of, by the fabulous Nelson Mandela. And I think this is just, it's such a good reminder, because it's often easy to get stuck in, that little internal voice in our head, and that space where we think we can't do the things that we want to do, or that we're not good enough, or that we can't make a difference, or that we're just, insignificant. And really, we're not doing anyone any favors when we do that, and especially ourselves. And when we step up, we give other people permission to step up and play big in their life too. And for all intents and purposes, for all we know right now, this is the one life you've got. So let's make it truly amazing. So with that, I'm going to give you permission to do what might seem crazy. So if you need permission to do something that you're like, everyone is going to think I am nuts, I have no business doing this whatsoever, you have permission to just go for it. So for anyone who is telling you, you being in business is nuts, you're never going to make it, most businesses fail, you can't do that, you can't start a business doing that thing that you really love and that you're really passionate about, I say you might as well put everything into it and see what happens. You have permission to go crazy. So this is my favorite mountain in the whole wide world. That is Mount Everest. And I have had a thing for Everest for as long as I can remember, since I was a really very tiny little child. I just had a thing for it. I used to want to climb it. I don't have that much commitment for that now, but it's been a thing for my whole life. And I'm not sure if because when I was little, I kind of had a bit of an adventurous part of me. I would love to say that the girl in pink is me, but it's not. That's my sister. My sister got the pink. I got the green, the blue, the brown most of the time. But ever since I was little, I love being outside. I love trying new things. And at the same time, I was afraid. Like my grandparents had a ranch. So those little goats there that I look like I'm so happy to be in the middle of, I was probably scared to death because they scared me. But I still like, being outside and having adventures with my sister and my cousin. So one night I was watching a docudrama movie, whatever, this one here called Touching the Void, which is about some mountain climbers who they're trying out a new route. One of them gets hurt. They think he's dead. He makes it back, overcomes, you know, one of those great stories. And I love anything mountaineering kind of movie. So I watch a lot of those. And I was kind of at a spot in my life too, where I was thinking, you know, am I really doing everything I could? Am I really being a good example for my kids? Am I really, you know, living that big life? Or am I just playing small? Am I being complacent? Am I being afraid? Am I succumbing to that little voice in my head that says, you can't do this, Georgie? Who are you to try to do all these kinds of things? Like I was really questioning those parts of me, you know, and then asking, well, what is it that you really want? And what I really want is to make a difference. I want to be, more than anything, a great example to my children. I want them to know that they can do whatever they believe, or at least give it a good shot. So it's like midnight, I'm lying there and I'm Googling the climbers in the film, and one of them has an adventure company that does treks to Everest Base Camp. So I'm like, you know, here's this Everest thing again. And I'm like, yeah, climbing it? No. But I'm like, yeah, I can trek to base camp. Sure I can. This just sounds like a fabulous idea. Fabulous. So I'm like, all right, it's always been there. I think that I'm going for it. So this is where I booked the trip, and I was actually just looking at this today, literally 6 months to the day. February 22nd, I was like, okay, this is happening, I'm going. And I booked the trip and we left August 22nd. So it felt right, it was happening, done. So here's where lesson number 1 comes in. So I'm going to share 10 lessons from this little trip that you can apply to your life and your business. Is to actually listen to those inner promptings that we get. When you hear that inner voice that is calling to you, pay attention, even if it seems crazy. And for me, this was, like I say, it started when I was like probably 5 years old. And when I went to Everest, I think I was 41, something like that. 41 maybe. So it took a little while to get there for me to heed the voice, but really start to pay attention to those inner things that are happening to you, even if they seem crazy. So this is the gear list. Now, here's something else you should know. I wasn't a hiker. I've never really done any kind of hiking, really. Like I played around and done fun stuff, but like hiking, I didn't own a backpack. Oops. So I'm looking at this list and I'm like, let me see, what might I have? I think I have underwear. Check. Cool, got that. I got some t-shirts. Okay. But basically, I had none of this stuff. I didn't have the skills really, but what I did have was the determination that, okay, I can figure this out. After it was booked and I'm going through this list, I started to notice those tiny little voices that start coming up in our head, much like when we're all excited, we're going to start this business, here we go, and then here they come. Who am I? Can I do this? I have no clue what I'm doing. I've just dropped some cash to make this thing happen. What if I run out of money and I can't get my business off the ground? What am I going to do? You know, here I'm thinking, what if I get over there and I die because I don't know what I'm doing? You know, all of these things start coming up. What if this was the dumbest thing ever? What if this has the opposite effect? What if my kids just realize you should probably never go for what you want to do because this could turn out badly? So I had to really start to rein in those thoughts, because if I start to listen to them, I'm spiraling and this is never going to happen. So what I started doing was slowly getting little pieces of the things I would need, right? I knew for certain, most important thing I was going to need was some boots. I need boots and I need to break them in. I knew that for sure. So I buy the boots and I post them on social media, and I started just making little posts, more so I think to keep myself accountable and keep myself moving forward. But what started to happen is I started getting some messages from people, and they started saying, hey, if you can do that, I wonder what I can do. And my, you know, not that people want to climb mountains or go to Everest or any of those kinds of things, but just things that were really important to them, things they'd been putting off, things that were really important that they'd kind of gotten complacent around and not sure they could kind of take those steps. So I was like, oh, this wasn't my intention. And interesting how this really started coming out hugely, which led me to my second lesson, is the things that you are really meant to do inspire other people. So when you're really, really true to your purpose or your why, that thing that's bigger than you really do show up in a way that gives people permission to step into their purpose, to do the things that matter. And I think when we all can kind of embrace our piece of the puzzle, the world is just better. And so by you stepping into building this U-shaped business that you want to build, by bringing your mission to the world and by really fully embracing it and letting people know that you exist, you allow other people to do that too. And that's a really, really important thing, I think, especially in the world that we live in now. So here we go. Let's get this thing off the ground. So this is Tyler, and he ended up coming with me. And if we go back to kind of listening to our inner promptings or our gut kind of thing, I didn't know Tyler very well at all. I hung out with him maybe once at a campground down in Birch Bay because my parents knew his parents. And just kind of timing wise, we'd become Facebook friends, and then I was just saying where I was going. He's like, hey, can I come? And I was like, I don't know. So I had to think about this for a second. Can I spend 3 weeks with this person I don't even really know? But I decided, yep, I think I can. So this was my first teammate, Tyler. Now these are my children. This adventure and getting ready to go, it was really important to me that I had them on board as well, because I had never left my children ever, especially not for 3 weeks in a foreign country. My daughter, I would be gone for her first day of high school. I never missed a first day of school, ever, like ever, in their whole entire lives. So it was, I was like, I don't know, can I leave them? I'm not sure. And of course, my kids were like, can you just get out of here? Like, go do this thing? But they were a really important part of my team to make this happen, as were my mom, my dad, my sister, and my friends. Like, I needed the support of those around me to be able to do the things I needed to do for the timing and to achieve this thing. So lesson 3 is you have to have a really strong support team. And this is really important as we're building our businesses, because if you are only surrounded with people who are naysayers and they only have negative things to say about you, or if you're all by yourself, it's really, really challenging to get up on the days when it's hard, when you know you've got to get in and do the work, when you just don't want to. But when you have people looking at you and kind of expecting you to do this, it really, really helps. And when you're like, hey, I need a push. I need someone to come, hike the trail with me today because I'm not feeling like it. So you really need to have your strong support team in place. So with that, team's in place, tickets are booked, Georgie's not a hiker, better start hiking. So fortunately, we live where we live, and there's so many beautiful trails and hikes and places to go. So I start the journey, right? It's one step at a time. Let's get this body ready to go on this adventure. So I hit lots of the local trails around and mountains and things like that. And this taught me something really, really important. Create and follow a plan. I need to train and prepare. I see this in our businesses. When I do this, it works really, really, really well. When I don't, I can go off track so easily. It's so easy. But when I can actually go, okay, here's where I'm going. I'm going to work out a plan for that. And I'm flexible enough to know that sometimes I have to change the plan. It's not carved in stone. Even if I think of training for, going to base camp, some days the trails are too muddy to go on and I have to pick a different trail, but I'm still going to train. I'm still going to follow a plan. I know how many hours I need to put in to get ready for this, what it's going to take to get my body ready. Just like when I look at my business, I know it requires talking to people. I know it's going to require talking to a lot of people. And you have to have a plan in place for how am I going to do that? How am I going to reach people? When I reach people, what am I going to do when I talk to them? How am I going to get them on my calendar? When I get them on the phone, what am I going to say? What does this path look like? So it's really, really important that you spend some time figuring out what that is, create the plan, and then just execute it. Just follow the steps. All right, for those of you who live in Vancouver, you may recognize this lovely set of stairs in nature. So this is the grouse grind. So probably about 2 months before we left for the trip, I said to Tyler, I said, I think we should do the grind. So I think we're ready. We're going to base camp. We're going to be like 17,600 feet. Let's do this grind thing. He's like, okay. So he meets me in North Van, and I've been doing some research, checking things out. So the lovely Google came back with some data that said the average person can do the grind in an hour and a half. Okay, that's my goal. So if we get there, I say to Tyler, if we can do this in an hour, I'm going to be happy. I'll be really happy. He's like, Georgee, are you I'm like, Tyler, I said, and by we, I really mean me. Tyler is a marathon runner. Tyler, there's no doubt in my mind he's got this covered. So I'm like, just time it, like, what time is it when we start? You be on the clock. And he's like, well, Georgee, are you sure about that? He goes, our goal is to get to the top. I'm like, no, our goal is to get to the top in an hour. So he's like, okay. Of course, this is before I put one foot on any stair. So off we go. We get finally, we're about halfway and I'm dying. And I'm like, what time is it? What time is it? Where are we at? He's like, I'm not going to tell you right now. He goes, I just want you to remember that the goal is to get to the top. I'm like, no, Tyler, I think you're missing the point. The goal is an hour. So we get to the top and I'm like, what time is it? What time is it? What time is it? How long did it take? How long did it take? He's like, Georgee, are you sure you want to know? I'm like, oh my God, like, what is your deal? Like, I said I want to know. He's like, okay. He's like, 1 hour and 35 minutes. I am like, I have a meltdown. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, Tyler, we're going to Everest in 2 months and I'm not even average. I'm below average. I can't even do the grind in like what average people can do this. How am I ever going to do this? And he stops, and he looks at me and he says, Georgee, he goes, remember that goal? I'm like, yeah, you need to get here in an hour? He goes, not that goal. He goes, the goal was to get to the top. He goes, did we get to the top? I'm like, yeah, but he goes, remember the goal. Remember just what that was. He goes, we can come back and we can do it again, which we did. I never got it in under an hour, but anyway. But the really important lesson here was to maintain your focus on what's important, because often we get stuck in these details that don't really matter. And he was totally right. The goal was, for me, was to get to the top. It wasn't really to get there in an hour or even an hour and a half, but the goal was just to get to the top. And it was, I remember this lesson literally to this day when I start to get myself really wound up about things, is to take a step back and go, what's really important here? So when I think about my business, often I want things to happen fast. We like, oh, I want 50 people in my group. I want 50 people in my program. I want a webinar with 1,000 people on it, and it's often really helpful to take a step back and go, what's really important? What's really important is I want to do meaningful work in the world. I want to help people build businesses that work for them, so they have a way to make income to create the life that they really, really want. That's what's really important to me. So if I do that one person at a time, that's okay. But as long as I keep focused on that and I keep moving forward, eventually I'll be able to do it. We'll do it in multiples. The groups will grow. It's that consistent action. Those results are kind of inevitable. But if I lose sight of what's really, really important, I get sidetracked. I get defeated. And then the odds of those things happening become less. So if you find yourself where you're really starting to get wound up, I really encourage you to take a step back and be like, what's really important here? Is it really important that I have the perfect logo, that I have the perfect brand colors, that I have the best looking website, that I have all the technology in place? Like, what's really, really important? Because when you do that, step back, you might see things from just a little bit different perspective. The other thing about this, I don't know if you can kind of see, there's a tiny little mountain there. It's not a tiny mountain, but there's a mountain hidden kind of in the background. And often when we're moving forward, we lose sight of that goal, or we lose sight of what's important, and we can't see it so clearly. But if we can maintain our focus, we know it's there. I know for certain we will be really successful. We will be able to help a lot of people build these U-shaped businesses. I know that as we keep moving forward, step by step by step. I knew I would get to base camp. I wasn't quite sure how. I didn't have all the pieces, but I knew it would happen. So just know that, like this mountain that's kind of hidden back there in this misty thing, stay focused, because it gets clearer and it gets clearer. And suddenly it's just like, whoa, I'm right there. There it is. But often we lose sight of that because it's kind of covered by clouds on some days. So now we're getting serious. This is the domestic airport in Nepal. So this is for real the airport that you go to fly from Kathmandu to Lukla to get started on the trek. And you get in this tiny little plane and you have to wait. So we're literally sitting in a bus on the runway, and it's really, really cloudy, and you have to wait until the skies are clear enough to fly, because they don't have a bunch of fancy stuff, like because of all the clouds in the mountains and there's interference and stuff like that. So when they say go, you literally jump out of the bus and you run to the plane and you get on the plane as fast as you can. And then we get up here above the clouds, and this was literally my first glimpse of the Himalayas. And I'm sitting on this plane and I start crying, and I'm just overcome with like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is a dream come true moment. This moment right here is what I feel like my whole life was about. And all I could think about was, I want every single person in the world to have this at least once. And how they could do that is through building their own business and having that freedom to do what it is that they want to do. And so when I get home, I'm so committed to helping people do that. And so when I start to lose sight of things, I go back to this moment, because it was just like, I felt like everything lined up right there. It's back to that inner prompting, that knowing of I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know why it took 41 years to get here, but here I am. This is the airport in Lukla. This is the most dangerous flight in the world, apparently, because it is the shortest runway in the world. If you don't time this right, your plane hits the mountains and you die. I didn't know this at the time, and for me, it was the most amazing flight I've ever been on in my life. So sometimes it's best not to pay attention to people. And then these were my people. So this was Basu and Karan, and these were our guides. These were our experts. These were the people who were going to get us from Kathmandu to base camp and home. Karan was 19 years old, I believe. He is a family of, he's the oldest of 8. And so he has to do this job of portering to help his family. speaks very, very, very little English, but he loves to sing. And his dream was to one day be a Nepali singer. So he would sing quite often on our trip. And then here is Basu and I, and there's just dogs everywhere. They just run around as we get started. But these were our people, and they would tell us, you know, how far till we get there, the things we need to do, what to get prepared for every day, what to be aware of, helping us over these little bridges and things like that. So this is lesson 6 then, is to really get guidance and mentorship from the experts, from the people who know, from people who have been there, and from the right people, right? We had experts over there. Basu has guided that trip, I don't even know how many times, like so many times. They know all the trails, they know the people at the tea houses, they know what to do if unexpected things happen, if we start getting altitude sickness, all of these things. They know exactly how long it's going to take, you know, and it's always slowly, slowly, slowly. How are you doing? They know, you know, we would get there and he would be like, okay, Georgie, we climb, we have lunch, then 2 hours uphill, and then it'll flatten out. And he was right every single time, but they can let you know what to expect. And that's why we talk about, you know, in our businesses, in the U-shaped business, about these levels, right? So about knowing where you are and then getting the right guidance with where you are in your business. It's really, really important, because you want the people who can help you with where you are at to get you where you want to go. At one point in our in my training, actually, when I was having more of those little doubts were popping up, and I was like, I'm not sure that I can do this. Like, I don't know physically if I can actually make this thing happen. So literally I'm like, okay, who can help me? Who do I know here in Vancouver that can actually help me? And I had a trainer probably four or 5 years prior to this, maybe 3, something like that. Anyway, and he had trained like NHL players and Major League Basketball, like professional athletes. So I was like, okay, he knows. He understands this whole physical body thing. So I call him up, and of course it's in the middle of summer. It's busy because he's training people pre-season and all this stuff. And I'm like, Derek, I need to see you. I'm doing this Everest thing and I'm not sure I can do it. So finally, I was able to get in one session with him. I go and see him, and he said something really important to me. He said, Georgie, he goes, if there's one thing I know for sure, he goes, if you set your mind to this, you can do it. He goes, you could go today and you can do this. I know that you can. And I was like, okay, but I still want the workout. He goes, I'm going to give you a workout, but just know this. If your mind is set up, you can do it, because that's the most important. Get your mindset right, and then you'll train. He goes, I know you already. You're okay. But he was able to give me a plan, give me some exercises to continue my training. But the important thing was, he was an expert, and I knew it, and I trusted him. I knew he could give me the pieces I needed to train here in Vancouver before I left. And then I had my experts in Nepal that could get me, when I was there, to where I wanted to go. So it's really important to make sure that when you're looking for people, you're getting your right people, and to not want to do things on your own. It shortcuts things a lot, and your success will happen faster when you're getting help from people who know, for real know. So the paths in Nepal, some of them look like this, like lovely, beautiful staircases of stone. Some of them are more windy through different forests and stuff like that. And then sometimes really unexpected things happen. So when we were there, there was a landslide that wiped out our trail. So the next morning, a lot of our guides, and then some of the other guides that were there, they got together and they went out early before all of us, and they ended up kind of whacking out a new trail for us to get there. And so that day we traveled together as a group, because we were going in kind of places that were not the typical trekking places or whatever. So this is kind of a yak trail that we were on. And then finally you get through and you get to the end and you see all these, beautiful, nice places. And it was a really, really long, unexpected day that day, because sometimes you just don't know what's going to happen. And unexpected things come up and you kind of looking like, can we do it? I don't know if we can do it. You know, the plans have changed, the obstacles have come in. I don't know. Do we quit? Do we go home? What do we do? The option is no. Lesson 7, quitting is not an option. So when you're in your business and it feels like you're just getting obstacle coming up, and I can't do this, and things are too hard, and it's no one's calling me, no one's booking on my calendar, and you're ready to throw in the towel, kind of decide now that quitting isn't an option. Just keep moving forward. You will find a way. Maybe it's not the path that you thought. Maybe you got to go find your own little yak trail on the side somewhere, or maybe you're up early, you know, blazing a new path. But kind of just realize that quitting isn't an option. I'm doing this thing, and it might show up differently than you think it's going to, but full out quitting, not an option. Because then this was our next morning. So we get there, it's all cloudy and, you know, not so nice looking. In the morning, it's beautiful. We had some of the most beautiful views the next day. So if we had quit, we never would have got this. Like, it was cloudy most of the time. We didn't get a lot of great views, but this was the next day, these beautiful, stunning views. And we were having this day of acclimatizing here. So this is one of our little hikes up to that, and, you know, and it's just beautiful and it's gorgeous, and you're kind of like, okay, yeah, this is awesome. And this day we were up at 14, just over 14,000 feet. And I remember this day so clearly. I'm sitting there. We've had the really, really tough day the day before, like hard day. We get here, we had stunning views in the morning. We hike up here and we're sitting here, and I'm like, we're at the height of Mount Rainier. Like right now, I could be sitting on the top of Mount Rainier. And they have these really yummy cookies in Nepal called coconut crunchy. So I'm eating this coconut crunchy cookie. So delicious. The views are amazing. They're with these amazing people. And I was like, you know, if this is my last moment on earth, I'm so good. Like I'm perfect. If I never got to base camp, I'm good. Like this has been worth it. And so this is my next lesson, is to really, really be in the moment, really appreciate the journey that you're on. Learn to recognize these tiny little moments that we're often given. And so when you're building your business, I think sometimes we forget to do this kind of thing. We forget that, oh, look at that email from someone who said I just made a difference. Remember that day when everything just seemed to flow smoothly, when you're in that creative flow and you've got like the perfect line. It's like, oh, that was so good. And then by some chance, you take that perfect picture that goes on social media and you're like, yeah, that was incredible. You know, and I think often we forget these tiny little things that happen to us. But when we can really be present, when we're really present with our clients and we're in that engagement and we're actually making a difference doing the work that we love, it makes everything else so much sweeter. So this then is actually this is a glacier on the way up to base camp. This right here, for anyone that knows anything about Everest or climbing, this is actually the Kumbu Ice Falls. So every single climber who goes to Everest, this is this crazy ice fall that they have to go back and forth through. That's probably one of the most dangerous parts of climbing Everest. For me, this was like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the Kumbu ice field. I can't believe it's like right there. These are crater kind of lakes in the glacier, and you can hear chunks are falling off all the time, and it's cracking underneath you, and it's kind of crazy, the sounds that it's making. And when we were, this is us, we made it, yay, base camp. On our way to getting there though, they had like quite a few landslides and stuff. So we're going through one of these spaces, and he's like, okay, we have to go fast. You can't slow down, you can't stop. We have to go fast because there've been landslides here. If one comes, it's kind of game over because it's like those big slides there. So we're like, okay, so quickly get there. But we made it. We didn't spend too much time here because, like I say, it was a bit of a the land just wasn't cooperating as well as it could have, I guess, with different landslides and stuff. So they were a little bit concerned. But we made it. And again, it's kind of like our business, right? Sometimes we need to move quickly and sometimes we need to move slowly. But we made it, our little team of 4. And we were the only ones there. We went in an off season. So we had the whole thing, to ourselves. This is a sign in case you get lost on how to get to base camp. Don't miss the sign. But the lesson here is that the way that we get to these places is one step at a time. Throughout the whole journey, it was just one step, then the next step, then the next step. And when it got hard, and I can remember my guide, he would be in front of me. He'd be like, Georgie, you want me to go behind you? And I'd be like, no, because if he was in front of me, I could follow his steps. And I would just watch his feet, and I would be 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step. And that's literally how, we ended up getting to base camp, 1 step at a time. And that's just like your business. This thing happens 1 step at a time. Patty and I were talking this morning about creating like this visual of the entire map of what this looks like. But the reality is you get there 1 step at a time, and you can't skip steps. I couldn't skip steps in the beginning to not get acclimatized to doing this trip, or I would have got probably sick, altitude sickness, and I wouldn't have been able to get there. I can't skip all the tiny steps it took to get here, even on when I was there, right? So just often if we can remember, right, it's 1 step at a time, 1 foot in front of the other. And if we keep doing that, eventually we will get there. And one of my favorite parts of all of this, and I think something that is really, really, really important to remember, and that's actually a real picture of a wild horse. This happened to me in front of a mountain. It's like so crazy. Is that really the gifts are in the journey. Whether it's in something like this, whether it's in our business, whether it's in our relationships, the gifts are really in this whole journey that we're on, and learning to look for those things. So when you think your load's heavy, have a look at this. Like I often think like these people, this is how they move stuff in the Kumbu region. There are no cars there. It's like this. And so he's got a whole bunch of mattresses that he's carrying from one village to the next. So there's probably someone that's carrying a load a little heavier than yours. So you can remember that as you go along. And also to be humble as we're on this journey. So this fellow here, he's climbed Everest multiple times. Did not want to share it at all. Like so just, no. But really, really humble in his excellence of what he does. And these little kids, like they're just so happy that they get to go to school. And you wouldn't believe how far they walk to be able to just go to school. But they're really present and appreciative of what they get to do. This lady, those rocks there beside her, they sit there for probably 7 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And they bash those rocks with these tiny little hammer looking things until they turn into gravel. And then that gravel goes into baskets that gets carried through to the different villages. She is happy. Like I sat there and made gravel with her for about an hour. One of the best gifts of this whole journey, to really appreciate the things that I have and how do I find joy in tasks that are hard and seem like, are you kidding me? Huge gift being able to spend the day with her. Doing the things that matter. How do we find a way to incorporate the things that matter to us as we're building this business and going on this journey? Like I'm like, these are 2 parents with their little kid, and they just kept swinging the little kid along as they're carrying these heavy loads to do the things that they need to do. we met so many amazing people, right? It's the friendships that you make with people in your business and as you're moving forward. And then our happy little foursome. These Karan and Basu are friends of mine to this day, and Tyler, of course. It's really recognizing the people that you meet along this journey that you're in. They are such a gift to you. And I think if we can start to shift that a little bit when we're reaching out to people and we're afraid and we don't know what to say and what are people going to think. Imagine if you could think of these people as a gift. There's some kind of gift to you along this journey. Maybe their no is a gift. Maybe they're going to teach you how to handle their rejection. Or maybe you're going to develop really great friendships with people that you weren't aware of in the beginning. So just remember that life is really a journey and to just enjoy this ride. And your business is just one piece of this, but the more you can start to implement these lessons and enjoy all the little pieces of it and just be slow, take one step at a time and enjoy it. And I know that I brought these, like I say, these are the biggest key lessons for me, and they've been so incredibly helpful. So yeah, questions, thoughts, anything that you want to share?
That was so cool.
I was like, I just shortened it. I'm like, I have so many pictures and so many things. I was like, okay. Oh. So yeah, so cool. Very, very, very blessed. That's for sure. Yeah. Any thoughts, any questions, any ways that you can see how those would be beneficial to, building your business? Like I look at it so much and I'm like, oh my gosh, these apply pretty much every day, really. Especially when I start to feel stuck and I'm like, can't do it. I'm like, you can do it.
I think that there's just so much of kind of a metaphor or analogy that can be, connected to, the climbing and the trek and all that and building a business. And it's like when you were talking about you can't shortcut it, right? It's kind of like, yeah, I mean, you have to acclimatize or you're gonna die, right? Like you can't just like zoop over and up to the very top and just take the last couple of steps, right? You need to do the whole trip,
the whole thing. And even like from the little planes, right? You can't shortcut the flight. You had to wait till the sky had to be open. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, there's no shortcuts. Mm-hmm. And I think the shortcuts would ruin it almost. Well, you'd probably die, but yeah, it's just, you have to do the pieces.
Yeah. And I think that too, the idea that the shortcut would ruin it, because it takes away from the accomplishment and it takes away from the joy of the journey and all of that, right?
Exactly.
It's like I was reading that book by that fellow that did the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu, and like there's an option. You can do a long hike, which is arduous, or you can take the bus. And he did the long hike and just recognized when he got there that his experience of seeing it was just so much richer than the people who took the bus.
Totally. Yeah, there's something that happens when we do hard things, when we put in the time and we overcome the obstacles and we really go through the process and the journey. It's so much sweeter at the end, and we learn so much more. I think we come better prepared. Like if I think of with your business too, right? It's like, okay, if I take all the steps, when I get to kind of some of the end points, I have so much more information that I'm bringing forward with me.
And that's what makes it sustainable.
Exactly.
Like you built the tools and the muscles in order to keep going, and you know what to do, whatever it throws at you, you've got something to draw on. You didn't get parachuted into a situation where you don't know how to navigate or how to manage. I think there's something to be said for that as well.
Exactly. Yeah, you kind of you learn how to handle the obstacles when they show up. Yeah, much more effective way instead of just meltdown. Can't do it.
It's kind of more, there's kind of more to risk too, right? Like it gets more dangerous the higher you go.
Totally.
And the mistakes cost more.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah, it's so true. And I think you feel that for sure. It's like, oh, this is getting scarier. Yeah, so true. Sorry, just had a thing popped up in the chat. Born and raised in southern Alberta, I always said I was going to live in BC. In my mind, I was in the interior. 10 years ago, I made a choice to leave my hometown and move to Gabriola. I hadn't lived anywhere but my hometown. I was 45 years old and people thought I was nuts. Kids grew up, mom moved out. Well, I think experiences like that teach us so much, and it's often scary to follow kind of that pull or that thing that's just it's there, and you got to do. And that's what I think about our business. It's like it's not even so much of a even a choice. I mean, it is, but it just feels like I have to do this. And let's say we've iterated different iterations of how this thing shows up, but that core thing, it's like it is there, and I will continue to put in the work and do the steps and fall down and get up and fall down and get up, because it just has to be like
it's kind of inevitable, inescapable, whatever it's going to be. It's the journey, right?
Exactly. And just falling in love with that journey and that process, and remembering when it's the frustration that it's like, okay, nope, where's the gift in this? How can I be present? What can I appreciate about right now? And just keep going, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. It's how I will get there. Like, yeah. What initially inspired your passion for mountaineering? I honestly don't know. It has been something that I grew up in Texas, not around even mountains. I didn't really, until we moved to Canada when I was 14, and through the travel back and forth from Texas to Canada, like we went through like the Rockies and things like that. But I've always had an incredible love of mountains. And I'm not really sure where or why, but I do know that it is in my soul, and that is where I am happiest. And it was Everest. Everest was just, it's such a strange thing, but literally when I was there, I felt like I was home. Like I felt like I just belonged there. Like it was the weirdest and most awesomest thing. So I just go with it. I'm like, okay, and I know it's my thing. I love it. And I think probably because some of it too is it's challenging. It's hard. I'm scared to death of bears. So when I'm in the woods, I'm often a little bit scared as well. So it's a place to kind of overcome those fears and those challenges, and to push myself and see really mentally, what I'm made up. I often will pick trails that probably are well beyond what I should be doing, but I know as long as it doesn't get dark, and I have the time, I can get there slowly. Sometimes it takes me a long time, but it's one foot in front of the other. And sometimes I may have to take lots of breaks, but that's okay. I can still get there, unless it gets dark and those kind of things. So I have a safety plan in place. But I'm not really sure where the kind of the love for the mountaineering came from, because neither of my parents are, we lots of camping and that kind of stuff, but not like that. So I don't know, but it just is. My children don't have it. as either. They're kind of like, but yeah. So I'm not sure, but it's a funny thing because, and I think it's why you see quite often a lot of my stories come from, I'm really drawn, like say, to mountaineers, to ultra athletes, ultra runners, people that are running across mountains and things like that. And I'm not really sure where the passion comes from, but there's something about, I think the commitment and the dedication and the willing to overcome the hard things. And I think the magic that comes when we do things that seem impossible. Like, I love that. And then helping other people do that just inspires me to no end, is watching someone do something they thought they couldn't do. And I think the outdoors provides a place to do that as well.
So does business.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I mean, yeah, how many days do we wake up and think, I don't know if I can do this? And then watching someone get their first client or their 10th client, or realize that, oh my gosh, all your bills are now being paid by your business. Like, what? How awesome is that? Like, that is a good day in my world when that happens. When we get those texts from our clients, they're like, woohoo! Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Like, there's just nothing better. So yeah, that is for sure. I do have announcement slides too. I took out the other ones, but I have, because I'm like, oh, we do have some announcements. If there's no more questions or comments or anything like that, I do have announcement slides. If you want the slides, or basically we can just talk about what's coming up. Probably.
Sure, on Wednesday. Wednesday, yes, 2 days from today.
2 days from now.
Talking about making a decision about support and what you need. This is something that I've wanted to talk about for quite a long time, but just this idea of choosing, is this course or program or coach the right choice for me? How do I make that decision? I'm thinking about this in terms of, like, from my perspective, my learning, having invested in a lot of stuff, and it's kind of like, okay, some of that worked out really well, some of it not so much. What have I learned from that? What are we bringing into this as we develop programs? And also, like for you, for our people in the future who are listening to us, how do you structure what you offer and really make it easy for people to figure out whether or not it's a good fit for them? Like, we really believe in this idea of fit. What's the right fit between what you're offering and what your clients are looking for? And how do you pull to the surface the pieces of what you offer in a way that helps your future clients see that this really is for them? And at the same time informs the people that it's not a good fit for. It's how do you bring that stuff to the surface, and how do you consider it, and how do you make good decisions for yourself? We've had a lot of people tell us that they wish that they had found us earlier. And I don't know if this can be kind of a public service announcement of some sort, that maybe some people from the future will happen upon the broadcast, and it'll save them from investing the equivalent of a new sedan in a program that they're not ready for. So there's that possibility in it as well. So that's Wednesday. Pretty excited about sharing that stuff.
That's pretty awesome. So awesome. Friday's our review, and then we have our course coming up on the weekend. Saturday, exactly. So if
you're not too far into the future,
yep,
you may still be able to get in.
Yep.
If you're very far in the future, well, there'll be another time.
And we've added lots of
we've got lots of coming soon stuff because of that.
Yeah, lots of really good stuff that's been added to that workshop too. So you might want to go to our webpage, and you can see. I think it's on our webpage. With that workshop.
No, it's not. None of it's all top secret at this point.
Secrets.
I will put stuff up eventually, but it probably won't be this week. But we do have 2 more classes coming up. One on content marketing and social media, what to say, what to post, and how to create content to attract future clients. And we have another full-day workshop coming up on direct outreach and talking to people, furthering relationships one-on-one. So we got one that's about marketing in print, like in writing, and another that's about creating engagements with people and building relationships. So those are 2 full-day workshops that are coming up in the future.
And they're included in, if you've joined our workshop that we're doing this weekend, those 2 other classes are included in that.
Yeah.
So
we will have more information about that in the coming soon stuff, maybe even by Friday.
Exciting.
So
yeah,
that's the excitement in this corner of the world.
In this corner of the world, that's what's happening. We have a lot to do this week. Woohoo!
So we wish you an awesome start to your week. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday. Same bad time.
Same bad channel.
Bye for now.
Bye.